Hello, peeps. It's the Hillbilly Halfwit. How are you all today? What are we going to talk about today? It's a lovely day again, a little bit of dampness in it, and the grass is growing. So, what we're going to talk about today is a bizarre conversation I had yesterday with somebody I know. Um, I won't mention who it is, but let's just say since COVID, they've gone extreme far left. And, well, if they had their way, they'd have me and you wearing little brown suits. Let's just put it that way. And it's the most bizarre thing I've ever had a conversation with. So I will take you through a little bit of what happened, and I think the world of this person. But seriously, the communist is never wrong, in my opinion. They are always blaming it on somebody else, always blaming the problem on somebody else, even when they've made a decision. So let's get going. Now, I realised this a good few years ago when I read the book George Orwell's Animal Farm. Communism and fascism is the same thing. It's two sides of the same sword. It's the same blade, and it all wants the same thing. They just want power over you, and they just want to tell you what to do. That is it. I realised this a long time ago, and the people that really are on the extremes of each side are like this. Now, lots of us stuck in the middle of all this. If you talk out against one, you get people have a go at you for that, and if you talk about the other, they have a go at you for that. So you're stuck in the middle of it all. Now, this is what is what happened yesterday. Is I had a phone call with somebody, and I purposely don't talk politics with them. I only really talk politics on my channel. I don't really talk a lot about it anywhere else, because I just talk about it on my channel, and you're nice enough to watch. So, especially with this person I mentioned, I say I'm not talking politics with you because he basically goes insane and goes off on one. And I just say, I don't want to talk politics with you. I say that all the time, but he went on and on yesterday, talking about Trump tariffs and this and that. And God almighty, they were going on and on and on and on. And now this is how I look at it. The person on the right is who they are. And the person on the left is the person who voted for Trump. In reality. Now, the person on the right is not in the real world. The person on the left has been in the world because they're usually a little bit older and have seen what's happened in life. Now, most of the time when you go to university, when I didn't go myself, but I know people who did, they go to university, they come back with socks and sandals, and they got a cashmere jumper draped over their shoulders. That's what happened with lots of friends that I know. And then they come back with these ideas that are not in the real world whatsoever. And they prance around like that till they're out into their 20s or late 30s. And then they suddenly realize it's all bullshit, really. But the real world soon gets you back to being a bit more conservative in your thinking, or in the middle, a liberal. Not the Liberal Democrats, they're not liberal at all. So anyway, I had all this going at me yesterday, and then I said, you're basically a communist. And I said, I don't want to talk to you about it. Oh, they kept going on about this. And I was saying, I didn't vote for Trump personally because I live in Wales. If I'd have lived in America, or if I live in America, I would have voted for him. Because his policies are really the best thing to help America out. So liberals, and not the classic liberal, the so-called modern liberal, the person on the right there, just want to tax everyone more money and spend more money on other people. That's what they want to do. And this is their heroes, really. And when I mentioned to this person that they voted Labour in this last election in the UK, and they took money off the pensioners and off disabled people, they want to go to war and conscript children, teenagers, sorry. and they made lots of promises during the manifesto, and they lied to. What I had back was that was the Conservatives' fault. And I'm like, how can it be the Conservatives' fault when, as soon as Labour got into power, they have the decision to do everything? The civil service give you three options of what you can do, or you can take no option at all and just do your own thing. They didn't have to cut the elderly heating allowance or the PIP payments. They just did it because they wanted to. And the same with the farming. They did it because they wanted to. That's what it's all about. Exactly like happened in the pogroms years ago. Now, a communist is never wrong because they always blame the other person. All the stuff that's going wrong in the world is somebody else's fault, not their own, not the decisions they're doing. Now, we all know what this really is. That's what's happening now. It's in another guise. In the UK, I've seen this myself. I talked about it the other day. I've talked about it plenty. Communism and socialism does this, really. They started off as very good union ideas to help the workers. And it was more working class in the mining in the UK and all around the world, really. And it's like anything. Sometimes they go too far, and then they get knocked back, and then they come back again. But the thing we got at the moment is bizarre because it's actually the person I was talking to actually thought it was okay to push all the manufacturing out of the UK and Europe to China because they got big towns doing it all. And when I said that they're sweatshops and they're basically like slave areas, that didn't make one bit of difference. Like in China, they've got areas where they have concentration camps for people who are black and Muslim. It's crazy over there. And the person I was talking to was quite happy with that. They were quite happy with sending all our work, all our manufacturing over to China or other areas, and then buying it back cheap while our own people haven't got any work. Now, this is what's happening in America, really. It's happened for the last decade. That's why they voted in Trump. They didn't need to vote him in. If there had been proper leadership there who hadn't let this happen, especially same in the UK, as I showed the other day. Savings on spending is what we need, and getting the factories up and running again, making stuff is to make money. So I went on to ChatGPT, my favourite thing at the moment, and I asked them to do a bit of a speech on the false promises of communism and the vanity of champagne socialists. And it's come up with quite a funny one, I thought. One thing with this, it does actually, you can change things and do what you want, but I just let it do its thing, to be honest. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an idea, clothed in tattered robes, of the revolution paraded by the well-fed and the overindulged, that dares to call itself the saviour of the working man, is called communism. But don't be fooled, for behind the banners of equality, beneath the slogans painted with trembling hands in university dormitories, there lies a serpent, a doctrine of envy disguised as compassion, a system which has promised paradise and delivered ruin. Communism does not elevate the poor, it simply lowers all to the level of misery. It does not feed the hungry, it makes everyone starve together, equally under the watchful eye of the state commissar who dines in secret. It is not the friend of the worker, it is the overseer of his chains. We have seen it before and we shall see it again if we are not vigilant. The bread lines, the empty shelves, the secret police, the executions declared in the name of justice. Communism does not build, it confiscates. It does not inspire, it coerces. It does not lead, it drags screaming into the abyss. And then on the far end of this sorry theatre, we find the modern high priests of this creed, the champagne socialists, those who sip fine wine in private clubs while preaching revolution from velvet cushions, the sort who decry capitalism between the foie gras and shun private property so long as it isn't their own. They lecture the working class not because they understand them, but because they despise them. To them, the bricklayer, the nurse, the builder, the driver, these are not neighbours, but pawns to be stirred into action, while they remain safely on their balconies, far from the dust and the danger. They speak of justice, but they know none. They speak of struggle, but have faced none. They are rebels without consequence, pampered prophets in designer boots calling for the downfall of a system that funded their education and stocks their wine cellar. And I say this to you now, in the tradition of our great island's defiance, we shall not surrender our freedoms to fanatics in berets or bankers in disguise. We shall not be cowed by utopian dreamers who mistake their resentment for righteousness. And we shall not let this fair land fall under the banner of false equality, when what we need, what we have always needed, is liberty, responsibility, and truth. Let them call us stubborn, let them call us old-fashioned. We will answer, better stubborn than enslaved, better free than equal in chains. Now, I thought that was very good. And I do struggle with talking to this person I was talking to. And like I said, all the time, I think the world of them, but they've been taken. Their mind has been taken. They can't see it. They can't see the reality anymore. It's the bizarrest thing. It really is the bizarrest thing. And there's lots of people like this. And they'll be quite happy to do stupid things to people and the convid and all that. They were quite happy on that, because I remember this person wasn't taking any notice during that time. And then preaching about it on the quiet. So, what did I think about it? I was in a bit of shock about it last night, and I was thinking, how can somebody's mind be taken like that? Because most people, I think, especially people who watch my channel, are just normal people who just want to get on with their lives and be left alone. They don't want to really be preached to. They just want to have a little bit of their freedoms and have some fun at the weekend, go to work and make a little bit of money to live for the week, and hopefully pay their bills and get on with life. They don't want to be pushed into doing stuff all the time. And as an individual, which is a communism doesn't want, and the socialist utopia doesn't want, they want you to be under their boot. They want you to do what you're told. And that's what we have in the Welsh Assembly now. Do as you're told on everything. And they want to take away any of your freedoms, and they want to take away your ability to live without them. That's what I think. That's why they're attacking farming, because farming gives people the ability to live without them. When they control the food, they control the people. That is what's going on. So there we are. A bit of an odd one today, I know, but I had to say something about it, because I do think lots of people, I know lots of us on here don't realise it, but they are getting completely brainwashed with the propaganda on TV. And they just hate anybody with a different opinion. And you cannot have a conversation with them. It's bizarre. You cannot have a conversation because they just make stuff up. And I find it bizarre anyway. But there we are. So please comment, rate and subscribe. I'd be grateful if you could subscribe, because we're getting closer to that 15,000. We will eventually get there. All the best, Gaz.